Hey, what's up? So Renata and I are back again.
Hey, in the podcast version.
Yeah, because the whole video thing that we were trying to do ain't working out because
the lighting.
the lighting plus the camera on my computer is terrible. People out here broke. Yeah.
But more so, we know that the message is what we kind of want to get across, and I feel like it shouldn't matter how it gets across. I mean, either you see us or you don't, but you still hear our voices, and that's the important thing.
Yeah, I think we should give them cool pictures every once in a while just to keep them updated on our cuteness. Yeah. So today we can be talking about closure, right? I'm a bit iffy about this topic.
A bit
right?
is an understatement.
You just dramatic. Just really dramatic.
A bit is an understatement.
I'm a bit iffy about the topic, and I think this is one thing that Renata's got me talking about that I don't really have much to say about. God.
But I feel more so this is the one topic that we have different viewpoints or perspective on. But more so it's all insightful because for us, somebody asks us what closure is. But we're always if you notice or if you've been following, we don't give you textbook definitions of stuff. We just give you what we think it to be or what it means to us. And this is exactly how it is with closure. For me, I feel closure is the why factor. And then we're talking about closure in terms of relationships. So we just want to make that specific and just let y'all know that this is what we mean. Because of course, closure can come in the form of friendship or other things, right?
Yeah, every aspect.
So
of
we're
your life,
just
basically
focusing on relationships because it's the common thing among us. So for me, it's the why. People always want to know why something happened. So it's
I'm sorry, you think me sneezing is funny? What's wrong with you?
So it's more of the why did this person do this, or I thought we were going fine but this happened, why? So it's always the question of why. Persons wanting to know that in order for them to have closure in a sense. For me, I think it's not 100% necessary, but I feel it's needed, and sometimes it works out for you and that other person. Most people don't believe that they should go searching for closure, and I agree, but I feel if the opportunity is given for you to get it, then I feel it's good same way.
But I feel I just got real sick. I don't know. I think it's doing this crappy topic. It's not crappy, right? I'm just okay. So, I feel that closure is more acceptance. You have some sort of internal conflict, and you, at some point or some way, somehow, need to find a way to resolve it. But there's nobody that can help you get closure. It's something that you have to do on your own. So I think that maybe that's where Renata and I differ, because she is all about the why and maybe helping this other person. I think after a relationship ends, you go into it and you're supposed to love yourself before you can love anybody else, but then that thing falls apart. It's either you messed up or they messed up. But either way, at the end of it, you have to go back to learning how to love you after everything you've experienced. So at this point, it becomes you before them, right? Kind of like how I wrote in my blog. Yeah, y'all gotta check that out, right? But I feel that when something falls apart, you need to sit down, come to terms with what has happened, find all of the good, the bad, the ugly in it, and learn how to appreciate everything for the things that it taught you, and move on. So I guess it's a self thing.
So you see, how my perspective may seem to be opposing is because just like how she said, you need to move on, you need to do you, or it's all about you first, or putting yourself first. Sometimes, especially in relationships, when shit hits the fan and people go their separate ways, whether it's on a mutual agreement or whether they are parted because of anger or bitterness or whatever the case might be, sometimes it helps in the process of building yourself to talk to that person. And I'm talking about grown, mature persons. I'm not talking about people who believe that they should get up midway through a discussion or a talk because they're all up in their feelings or they can't handle the emotional strain or pressure. But I mean I mean like mature people. Like, you guys are talking and you broke up, you know this is not gonna happen again, you already decided to move your separate ways, but then I feel in helping yourself to build, and this is not always the case, but like sometimes that person can be like, listen, at the end of the day, it might benefit that person or benefit you, but I feel like someone will benefit, and maybe not at that moment in time, but like eventually.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a good takeaway point in terms of time. In a lot of instances, people seem to think, okay, so a relationship falls apart, and in order for me to prove to this guy that he didn't get one up on me, I have to rush right back into a relationship. See, growing up, my daddy told me this thing about the rejection syndrome. I don't think that it's an actual thing, because he just walked into my room this one day after this guy literally told me that, him and his friends were nice enough to write me this email to tell me that he didn't like me. My daddy stormed into my room and he's like, never become a victim of the rejection syndrome. No explanation, no definition, no nothing. I was just left with that. So I got up, me being the nerd, and I went to Google to look and find out what it was, and there was nothing there. And it wasn't until, like, as I got older, I realized that the rejection syndrome is this thing where you're rejected by one guy, so in order to feel loved and appreciated, you run to somebody else. No sitting down to look at all of the things that have happened, things that you need to resolve for yourself before running into something else. I think with the closure stuff, I think it's 100% necessary, but before you could look to somebody else to do it, like I said before, you need to do it for yourself. So you sit down and you analyze all of the parts of yourself that you've given in this relationship. I think back in 2016, the head of our poetry group, Jaime Suru, straight up, right up, he said to me that in a relationship, you give parts of yourself. Yeah, and then when it's over, yeah, you could take back all the physical stuff. I want back my hoodie, I want back my painting, I want back all of these things that I bought you. But you can't take away.
This is personal.
You can't take. Well, you had to put the visa in, but you can't take back the parts of yourself that you've already given. So what you have to do now is take time to sit down and grow to fill those pieces. And I'm not knocking the whole why thing or the sit down conversation that Renata is talking about. I just feel like if you ask certain questions and you're not in a place where you can accept this answer, then how does it help you, right? When something falls apart, do you really want to talk to this guy like 2 days after y'all broken up to find out, hey, why'd you leave me, why'd you do all these things, or are you just trying to see if you could salvage it, right? I don't think that the whole because I did it 2 days in, I wasn't asking questions. Like, I had my questions, I didn't ask why'd you do this, why'd you do that. I just needed to hear a story from him in the hopes that it'd make me feel better, but the conversation was done, and all I had were a whole list of things that he felt was wrong with me. And at that time, I wasn't ready to sit down and listen to all of that stuff, so I felt as though it broke me even further. I took a step back, and I'm looking at the relationship and from a different perspective, and understanding that there are things that I need to work on as well. And like Renata is going to tell you, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and in a relationship, it's not just you, it's also another person. And there may be things that you're going to do that they may not like, and that may be slightly toxic, because cheating isn't the only toxic thing you could do in a relationship, right? You do have your faults, and if you're not ready to hear about them and accept them, then just sitting down with this person, listening to all these things that went wrong, isn't going to help you in the slightest.
Nice. I feel okay. So not only do you need to be aware of the timings in terms of if you're strong enough, mentally more so, to deal with what will be said, because remember, this is you. This is somebody that you shared a space with, memories, pain, hurt, all these things with, telling you that I broke up with you because of this. Couldn't tell you drawing, or maybe didn't, or maybe did, but then
maybe I said it and you just didn't hear me.
Exactly. But more so it's like, are you strong enough to deal with this at this specific time? So I feel the timing is right, and sometimes you don't need to push it. Just to add to what Z said, but it's like, it happens. Like, when you least expect it, it happens. And how you know that you've gotten your closure is when words that have been said, it doesn't hurt you, but more so you just feel light, and she could tell you, like, you just feel like you just feel okay, you know. There's no animosity towards that person.
There's nothing.
You're not having a panic attack when you see them in public, hoping they don't talk
your heart
to you.
don't skip a beat and your hands don't get really sweaty.
Bruh. So it's just like this calmness over, almost like you were healed, but you just needed that tester to prove that, okay, everything's fine now. And more so, like, apart from timing, you also need to, for me, I feel, you also need to be aware of the woman or man that you're building. Like, being protective of your person. Not another person. I'm calling or referring to myself as the person. Right? In a sense of where I stand in terms of getting closure, I realize that it could help me in my building process, you know? And in the way that it does this is that one of my previous relationships that ended, I was told that I was always the one making this decisions for both of us, like heavy decisions. And we weren't like living together. This wasn't rent. This wasn't anything of the sort. It was just, I thought when we talked, he said he wanted this. In my head, I couldn't give him this. So I made up my mind. I'm going to walk away and do this because it'll be right. Or, you know, like I do it for him in a sense, just to make myself feel better, I guess. And he kept saying, like, this is something you did that I was really annoyed at. And I'm thinking to myself, at the point in time when he was saying it, I was still bitter. So I'm there thinking I did the right thing. But eventually I realized that's something I've been carrying with me all the time. So upon getting that information, but more so at the right time, having that resonate, I realized, okay, this is what I've been doing. And then transitioning into the woman that I am becoming, which is building myself, that's also a part of me. I can't just erase it. So I had to be like, okay, Renata, this is what you do, and maybe you might see it this way, but other people might not. So you need to work on this. You need to stop doing this, or you know. And that for me was closure. I mean, we weren't getting back together. That relationship wasn't going to work, but I got what I wanted in the sense of why we couldn't work, because this is what I was doing, more so what he was doing, or both of us.
But
you know.
Do you really need like somebody to tell you these things that are wrong with you? Can't you just like?
No, you don't.
Like,
no, you don't.
For me,
but sometimes you don't see it as being wrong. Like you don't think this is wrong.
I think that you gotta level up when it comes to adulting things. So at some point you got to sit down and be like, you know what? Even though I'm female and I'm always supposed to be right, I'm not. Always
no,
right.
But like I just felt like at that moment in time, I felt like I was doing what was best for him. But like he didn't see it that way.
I don't like them kind of people. Like
I
and then swear.
he was like, but like we never talked about this. We talked about this, but we never talked about this in the terms of making that decision. And you made that decision for both of us, and you ran with that decision, and that is why we're not together like today. Which is like it's all about like how things are supposed to pan out. Actually,
Yeah, I guess in the grand scheme of things.
yeah. But at the end of the day, I learned something about myself that I didn't see as being a bad thing, and then I had to do a whole 360 and change that aspect of me. I mean, I'm still doing me. I'm still doing whatever it is that I want, but like, I feel like you learn, you live, you learn, man. And then it helps. It really does. It really does. And sometimes you need to put on your big girl panties, like some people say, and you need to swallow that shit. Okay, I'm using weird words, but you need to like, you know, take that in and just be like, okay, I need to fix this. And I kid you not, there's no better feeling when you're about to step into that whole healing process, when you can tell yourself that this is where you've been wrong, this is where you're going wrong, and then you, not anybody else, but you say, okay, I need to fix this for myself. It works and it helps, and I feel like that's the benefit of it to an extent.
I think so too. Even like most recently, I guess I probably started actively doing this after my last breakup. It was easy for me to sit down and think about all of the bad things this guy had done to me, when he did it, how wrong he was, and all of these things.
Bruh.
But I think I was on the internet, and then I'm looking at all of these things, all of these memes are supposed to make me feel better and whatever. And I think I mentioned it earlier in the whole recording that cheating is not the only toxic thing you can do in a relationship. If there's anything that I am guilty of, sometimes I go deaf. So during the course of my relationship, one thing that I did that this guy always pointed out is that you never give me a chance to speak, right? And at the time I felt like, you know, it was what was right. You know, I forget if I don't respond right away, I can miss a whole lot of points. But like what Renata is saying, she had to get her ex to sit down and tell her these things again, this one thing again. But I think for me, what I did, I sat down and as difficult as it was, I did a recap of what the relationship was like. I sat down and I thought about these things, tried to extricate my feelings from it and just sit there and look at it as an impartial observer and think about all these things that I did wrong or probably could have fixed. Maybe I could have listened more. I think a few of my friends, they didn't agree with the whole process. Maybe it was me. Maybe I did something. No, this guy's an asshole. He did all the wrong stuff. But no, I have a lot of things that I need to fix as well. And so I made my list. I know there were lots of things.
Women, when you start the bandwagon with the "I hate your ex"
right,
with your friends,
oh gosh,
there is no mother trucking going back because everybody hates him. Listen. Everybody hates. You can have your girlfriends that be like, yo, that nigga was never shit from the jump.
I feel like we just like the friend's boyfriend, or maybe let's go and we like him at first, but you mess up one time and
let her tell me. Look, get this, and this is a real thing. I still talk to one of my ex, we're really good friends. I can't tell my friend that I still talk to that nigga because she'd be like, yo, but he's the asshole we don't like, because I done saying his name.
Getting sidetracked. I think that's something we need to talk about too, right? I was talking to one of my male friends one time, and he said that he felt as though girls, there's this bad talk. When a relationship ends, girls go and bad talk this guy to their friends and whatever, because if they do sit down to hash it out, sort out whatever issues they got, and they want to get back together, it's impossible because her friends are there telling her. But to be honest, I don't think that I just tell my friends that I could say his name. I need somebody to remind me on the bad days when I just really want to call him, you don't need this to heal. Anyway, I feel like we can go off track, but make your list. You don't always have to get somebody to tell you hey, this is what's wrong. Maybe you can sit down and do some meditation, some reflection.
Yoga helps.
Renata really wants to do yoga.
What?
I don't think I should be doing no yoga. Yeah. So make your list, right? Sit down and do a lot of reflection. It will help you in the long run. You're not fixing yourself because this guy said something was wrong with you. You're fixing it because, like I said in our first video, the self-esteem thing, your longest love affair is with yourself. When everybody has gone, it's going to be just you. So you before them always.
Let that sink in, because that's real heavy. That is real heavy.
Yeah.
But in terms of closure, real quick, it is needed. A lot of people would detest the fact. A lot of people I hate my ex. I ain't trying to hear nothing from him. I don't want to know anything about anything.
That's a whole bunch of unnecessary baggage that you do not need to be carrying around.
What? You have extra baggage at the airport, bro.
Right. I feel the minute that we choose to think that, you don't need closure from a particular topic, it turns into baggage and you take it to your next relationship and stuff. I swear, the next guy that comes to me and says, my ex was an asshole, she stopped talking to me, she cheated on me, she did all these things, she did all this stuff. First thing I'm be why are you so bitter about this thing? And no woman ever just gets quiet. So tell me about that story there so that we could see what you need to fix before you try to get me mixed up in all of this.
Yeah. Well, word to the wise, timing is really important, and trusting the process is also important. Trusting yourself that you'll be okay is vital.
Agreed. And in the time that you do spend trying to be okay, you can't just sit there and wait for it to happen. You have to actively build yourself. So mind, spirit, body, everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
True.
So in our next podcast, we'll be telling you about ways to go get that we go get closure, things that you could do, things that you shouldn't do.
We do the first 5 minutes of that, and then we'll hop into other topics. But definitely.
All right, we will see you guys later. Well, not see you guys. Y'all can hear our voices and stuff. How do I sound? Anyway, peace out.
See you guys. Well, not see you, man.
Bye bye.